Unreal Engine can be used to create hyper-realistic landscapes. While we probably won't be able to get results quite as impressive as these on our very first try, UE4 has a tool set that makes it surprisingly easy for beginners to get very good results. So let's open up the project that we've been working on from the basic VR template, and we're going to add a humanoid figure for scale reference, and then we'll import a height map that we can use to generate a topology, either a mountain range or some other kind of topology of your choosing. So let's first bring in the third person mannequin. So the way that we can do that is by going down to the bottom left corner into the content browser and clicking on Add New, and then go up top to Add Feature or Content Pack. And then under Blueprint Feature, let's go to Third Person and click Add the Project. And once you've done that, you'll be able to go to the Mannequin folder under Content, and under Mannequin, select Character, and under Character, select Mesh. And then you want to drag in the SK underscore mannequin figure. And we'll just use this figure to better gauge the scale of the landscape elements that we're about to bring in. Now, to be able to better see the landscape, let's go ahead and get rid of these walls that surround the outside of this template. So we'll select the walls and click the delete key on the keyboard. And now that we've done that, we can bring in our landscape. And so, so far under modes, we've only worked with place, but we can also use the landscape mode. So if we click on this button and we go up by pushing E, you see this green grid, which is a preview of what we could create as a basic starter kind of flat landscape that we could sculpt by pushing create here. But we actually want to import a height map. So we're going to go to import from file. And then let's go out to the web and grab a file that we can use for the import. So if we go to Google Images and then search for a PNG file, so that's .png, and then type in height map, all one word. And we want a large file, so let's up top under Tools, click on Size, and then go to Large. And we want our file to be at least 1024 by 1024, which you can see indicated in the lower left. And I'm going to download this image by right-clicking and then going to Save Image As and just saving it on the desktop. And once you have your file downloaded, you can go back into UE4, and then under Height Map File, we'll click on this button and then select our file that we just downloaded. And we see this green mesh preview of what that landscape is going to look like. Let's click on Import. And the first thing to note is that we no longer just have a regular cursor. Instead, we see this purple kind of brush as we mouse over the landscape. That's because we actually have a sculpting brush open. And so if I click and drag, it actually will add to that mountain range and make it bigger. What we actually want to do, though, is just make some larger global changes to this landscape. And so instead of being in sculpting mode under landscape, we want to just click back on place so that we can just use our cursor to select. And so once we've selected the mountain range, I'm going to make this not so tall. I think that these mountains are a bit overpowering for what I'm trying to achieve. So to modify the scale one-dimensionally, we can click on this button here to unlock the ratio. And then I'm going to change Z to be 50, which will affect only the Z dimension of the landscape. And then I want to also make it smaller overall, so that it's just a little bit easier for the next steps. So I'm going to, with the lock turned back on, I'm going to change X to 50. And so you'll see that now X, Y, and Z all updated at once. And our landscape is quite a bit smaller. It also moved off to the side, so we need to fix that. Let's go up top to the top view. and I'll press F to frame in on the landscape. And you can see our starter content is there in the lower right-hand corner. So now we can drag from this perspective, we can drag this over to be more centered. And let's go back to perspective. And there is a flattish part on the landscape where I want to move the starter content to. So I'm going to try to shift that over a bit. And I'll move it up a bit, right about there. And I think that should work fine. Now, if we go back to our humanoid, I'll need to change the camera speed to be a little bit lower. Let's go back to his head height, and we look around. We now have, from this vantage point, a good indication of what it will look like for the viewer of the VR experience.